Good evening from Marie at Messy M Creations. I do hope this evening finds you safe and well. A bit of wire out the way. There we go. That's a bit prettier, isn't it? Seems to be. I seem to have two of me for some reason. There we go. Get rid of that. So, if you're anything like me, you end up with a bag of paper after you've been making cards with all sorts of odds and ends that you've just kept saving just in case. So we're going to use some of those up. So I'm going to use some Snowflake Splendors papers, which I've got various card bases cut and some white card. But I'm going to start with, work out why we're slightly on the clonk. Now technically these aren't scraps, but I figured these might look rather nice. The Feels Like Frost papers. So on one side you get beautiful scenes, which I have to say I have generally used more of than I have this side. So I thought I'd see what we could do with the silver and white card. So you take your paper cutter and essentially we are just going to cut some, and I know these aren't scraps as such, but pretend. Going to cut some sections of paper. I'd hoped I'd get a chance today to maybe do this before I came on, but no such luck. However, we'll see. I might leave the spots out for now. So I'm using all the different options and literally just cutting on a slight diagonal the edge of the paper. So this will work with any paper that you have spares of at home. Particularly good if it's an absolutely favourite paper that you just can't bear to throw any tiny little scrap, because you can use the thinnest bits. So we'll see how we start with that. So I've literally just cut an edge off. So I have a card base, which is my standard 14.9 by 10.5. Cut a piece of silver foil in 10 by 14.4. So I've taken that ½ centimetre off, and then this white base is another ½ centimetre off, so it's 9 by 14.9. Can't do my maths there. It's very complicated. So these are all going to lay on a card like this. So essentially you've got a straight edge. You're going to work right up to that straight edge there. Then I'll put that one. So there's no hard and fast rules as to how you create this. But for me personally, I want something that's quite different, that's next to one another, just to really add a little bit of contrast in there. I'm obviously going to need some more. But you want them to be quite different. You don't want to look like you've kind of cut your paper and then pieced it back together. And oops, sort of alternating where that fatter end is. Personally, I like to leave a little gap, so I'm going to need another 5 or 6 strips. I'm quickly going to cut some more strips. So same sort of idea again, just literally however you fancy. No hard and fast rule. Use up all your little scraps. So it works, as I say, with any paper. So all you require, well, And you don't even require, I was going to say all you require is paper that coordinates, but in actual fact you don't. I'm going to do some more white bits, I think. If they don't coordinate, you're just going to create a bit of a clash, which in of itself has its own joys. They can be different thicknesses, just whatever you fancy. I might do some of those spots actually. I wasn't going to do a spot, but we'll do a spot. We'll do a spot, and then I'll probably just need one more bit, which will make a white bit, or the white background piece rather than the more silver background. So there we go, that's all my bits of paper, and obviously all those edgy bits are going to get cut off. So the easiest way, and don't go mad with the glue because you don't want to have too much of that glue around the edges in between. See what I mean? Wasn't very good English, was it? So the first piece I put down, I want to match that first edge so it lines up exactly, and then all other bits leave a small gap. And again, this obviously is silver and white, so I want to keep a tiny bit of white showing, but not too much. But you could choose a coloured background if it suited the papers you were using, and you could then show more of that colour off if you so desired. So as I say, it's a great little technique for doing whatever you fancy, just taking bits of paper, lining them up on the card. Absolutely no hard and fast rules. Whatever you want to do, you can have as small or as big a gap as you wish. So another great technique, I think, for kids as well. Get them started in crafting. Just buy pack of paper. There's all sorts in the Stampin' Up sale at the moment. I haven't had a chance to check what the stock situation is today. They are selling out fast, but there'll be something. Or maybe something to think about for next Christmas. Oh, don't want to end on a... Going to pop... I'm going to go slightly higher up there. So again, you can position that paper exactly as you want, and with any luck, if I use the fat end, oh yeah, just like she planned it. So any excess now is cut off. So it doesn't need to, as long as it matches at one end, it doesn't need to be exact at the other. Slightly gluey fingers. Obviously the benefit of glue as well is we get a little bit of wriggle room if we need it. So now at the back of that card, all I've got to do is take my scissors, cut along the back, and I would say those little scraps that you're cutting off, that's the end of their life. They can go in the bin. Unless you want to make a little gift tag or something with them, that of course is a option. So you could make cards or gift tags with this. So you can see just on the back of the card, cutting those edges. So what, that one straight edge is good, the other edge just needs trimming down. The only unfortunate thing about this paper is it can't be recycled because of the silver, so that has to go in my bin. But now you can see I've got a very simple card that when I'm going to glue that onto my backing. Hi Ali. Busy chatting away, missed you sneak in there. Hope you're well. Having a good week. I cannot believe it's Thursday. We got our Christmas tree this morning. And it fitted in the car. This is the first year I've had this particular car for us getting a Christmas tree, and we weren't sure whether a Christmas tree was going to fit in it. But it did. I need that to dry off. Just got a little bit of glue on there. Actually, I might put the sentiment there to get rid of that. So that silver base. So the Christmas tree is outside in a bucket of water, having a good old drink at the moment. Ready for me to decorate tomorrow. Got the kids coming in on Saturday for an outdoor feast of Christmas. For some reason my card base is slightly off, so I'm just going to trim that as well. Quite know how I managed that one when I was doing that. Might have had a gin when I was making that card base, not quite straight. Get rid of that. So there we go. Very simply creating a card, and then so I've got a bit of a gluey corner there, so that then would lend itself to having a greeting there. Oh, I just love the smell of a real Christmas tree. Love, love, love. I never had real Christmas trees until I met David, and I just love the smell, and they're just fab. We've just taken the carpet up as well because I've got boards down at the moment. The parquet will be going down in the new year, so I don't even have to worry about hoovering it off the carpet. I can just brush it off the wood that we've got down. So there we go. That's using the Feels Like Frost papers. I think that's what they're called. Yay, Feels Like Frost. So as I say, technically they weren't scraps, but it's a great way to show off that card. So that one... oh no! Is it already gone? It is a lovely paper, although I have to say I've never actually used the silver and white side of it. I've generally just used the other side on cards, but yes, it is rather a nice paper. But yeah, as I say, this technique works with any card base. That just then needs a little greeting there, which I think would look rather nice in a silver heat embossed label. So I'll do that a little bit later. And then the other paper that I'm going to play with. Oh no! Which other ones had you wanted? Oh yes, all right, I knew what you meant. I was explaining to David in the car this morning that I was using some DSP to decorate some Christmas gifts, and he's what? He said it's obviously paper, and I went, it's designer series paper. And then he was kind of like, then he started calling it designer special paper. He was using. So it's a very unique thing to us, isn't it? To be called. Oh, I've got what's that scrap of paper in there? There's a notebook. So yeah, it does work with any paper, even if you've not managed to get your favourite. I'm picking out the ones that have kind of got the Highland Heather sort of colour in here. So I'm just got a right old, whoops, mix. So again, same idea. So this I would put, I've picked out the Highland Heather because I want to put it on a Highland Heather card base. So again, just taking the white, that white bit of paper, It's just a standard white, and I'm going to, oh, Trim in the Town, yes. I might have a spare pack of Trim in the Town. I'd have to double check. So any paper, as long as the sort of colours sort of coordinate. But as I say, they don't even have to coordinate, because you could do it all a bit funky and crazy in colour if you so wished. Oh, no, not with your score blade. You do need to use your cutting blade. Right, that won't be quite so much on the clonk by the time I've just having a, let's continue to use those. Let's have another bit of that one. So say some people do cut it slightly differently, saying you need one diagonal edge, one straight edge, but I don't. Well, it's not even a diagonal, is it? Kind of should call it a essentially just however you want, but essentially when you're putting it together, you don't want it to look like you've cut a piece of paper up and pieced. Well, yes, it's kind of a hard lesson to learn, isn't it? But it is, you know, they do some absolutely stunning papers, but they rarely carried papers over. I'm going to cut another one of those, and then I'm just going to play with that one a little bit. So I've just, let's say, just run the blade all the way along, not part the way along. This works with any paper at any time of year. Have you had a good look through the new catalogue, Ali? Presuming yours has arrived as well. Oh, from the, was it on the Pinkies weekend? That needs more glue on that stripe. That's not going to work. That might be a good reason for me to do a paper share on the next catalogue. In the papers. What do we use? Trim in the Town? Oh no, we used I've got a great big long bit now. I might just I don't know how I've managed to end up with quite such a long piece of paper there. I'm going to trim that bit there because I'm thinking that might be quite nice to add in. So we'll see if we can get a paper share going for the next. So if it's not shouting at you, is it whispering quietly? That's the thing, isn't it? There's something sitting there sort of whispering quietly. If the world ever opens up and we can get back to doing classes again. Gosh, did we? That seems so long ago now, isn't that terrible? You know, when the world opens back up again, it would be nice to be able to run a class again and play with lots of those beautiful things that are in the catalogue. You might get inspired as I start playing with them on a Facebook Live. But what a paper share would do would give you a quarter pack of paper, so we will look at that and see. So you'd be able to, instead of buying all the packs of paper, you could just buy a quarter pack. So I have somebody else that might be interested in doing that, so we could split it between you. So that new catalogue, you've got till got a very bit of a funny odd end there, haven't I? That wasn't very well planned, was it? But anyway, doesn't matter. So essentially we just end up with a bit of paper with little scraps all over. Cut the end of those scraps off. Yeah, it was quite funny talking to David about DSP though. He couldn't hold designer series paper in his brain and kept coming out with all sorts of things. And in the end, I just said, look, it doesn't matter. I'm doing all the Christmas wrapping and I'll do what's needed. I've been making boxes, and presents that are too big for a sheet of designer series paper have been wrapped in brown paper with either a band of designer series paper around, or... Anyway, the upshot is he doesn't need to worry about it, which is like a perfect dream for him. Although part of me will kind of miss this year his usual... it's a good job he never watches these, isn't it, really? Because he always gets talked about. But normally, every blooming year, we go through that Christmas Eve running around in a panic, wrapping presents at ridiculous times of... Well, actually, he probably will still be wrapping mine at 1 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous, because he'll have forgotten or done something. But yeah, normally it's every single present is getting wrapped as we go into Christmas Eve. So we've got the kids over this weekend, so it's all got to be done by Saturday, so might actually be able to enjoy Christmas Eve. Oh, so I've just read about the ukulele course. So on that basis, does that mean you own a ukulele? Ah, yes. That's a different thing this year, isn't it? It's all things for Oh, that's pool party, that's why it's not matching that. Let's have a pool party bit of paper and we might be able to coordinate ourselves slightly better. So essentially then I can then, so this one will be pool party, so we'll have a bit of that. Look at that, I've got a perfect bit of scrap to cut up there. That one's got a bit of pool party. But this, that's a slightly, the great thing with this splodgy one is it's all different. And then we've also got, oh, I think the heating's just come on, I've just gone a bit, either the heating's come on or I'm having a flash. Or it's the excitement of, oh, there's another scrap, perfect. So you see all those then have a pool party in. So I just take another white piece, pop all those bits aside and get chopping again. I might chop this one that way, if that makes sense, this one that one. Yes, don't really know when I'll be able to run in-person classes again, but it would be rather nice to. It's not quite long enough, so we'll cut that on the longer side. So these, there's literally no order on cutting these in. I'm just kind of as I fancy. Different heights, different widths. Ooh, just need to just take my cardigan off. I find when I'm sitting at my desk during the day at work, I find it, I get quite cold because it's a bit sedentary, isn't it, really? It's just no particular width, no particular angle, just whatever you've got. I learn things about you all the time. Going to expect a ukulele show, you know. Cut the card base, and ultimately once you've actually made the card, until you put the greeting on, it can be either way up as well. There is no set way. Now I've lost my glue under there. Just put a bit to get us started. I'm going to use the thinner bit of that one. So again, that first one, line up to one edge. The other thing about the papers, of course, is that you know that next year they're going to bring out some more gorgeous papers. But practice makes perfect. Hold on a minute, what's happened to me? I thought I had three different papers, and now they all look the same. I have to say, yeah, music's never really been something that I've taken to. I was in a school choir once. God knows how, because if you heard my singing voice now, you'd be... I could murder a cat with my singing voice, I think. But yeah, it's never... I'm getting visions of a one-man band now. Can you be like the... Can you play the tambourine with your foot, the ukulele with one hand and your keyboard with the other? I'm getting high expectations now of entertainment, Ali. Oh, we don't want to do that one. That matched too. So I think the most important thing is that one almost looked as if it was going to match up, which I definitely didn't want. But, and I've never tried it. But I guess you could cut a piece up and relay it, but just with a slight gap. It's the joy of crafting. You can just play and have fun. I don't actually really need any more Christmas cards, but well, you are literally like the one-man band then. I did the recorder at school, but didn't we all? But that, oh God. I think recorders should be banned, really. They are. I've not heard any child practice and make a recorder sound excellent, but I may be doing a disservice to recorders. But yeah, the musical thing never really... So I'm not even sure how I managed to get into a choir either, but... Perhaps I just sang very quietly and they didn't realise I was so out of tune. Well, see, you can show me how. Well, although, as I say, I mean to do no disservice to recorders, but I also believe that there's lots of different types of recorders beyond what I played at school and absolutely mullered. I'll stick to paper crafting. Just expand my horizons into more boxes and gift wrap and all sorts. So there we go. There's the last one. None of them got sentiments on, obviously, yet. But any paper. But, oh, after all that, look, I didn't even use that one. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? There we go. That's fine. So you could go on. You could go on forever and ever with cards. So as I say, they can go portrait or landscape, whichever is your preference. You could do two-tone. You can do multiple tones, but it's just a great way of using up scraps of paper and then kind of pulling it all together with a card. Yeah. Well, trust me, Hallie, anything I play is going to be played badly. So, as I say, I'm going to stick to paper crafting, and I shall await you having a little concert. So there we are for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you can see a way of using up your paper scraps. And enjoy the rest of your evening, and I shall catch up with you next week. Gosh, enjoy the rest of the week and the weekend. Right, have fun, take care, bye bye.